Once Hollywood's adorable and promising darlings, their youthful glow often masked a darker, more tumultuous path. This video unveils the stunning transformations of 25 former child celebrities who dramatically changed as they navigated the unforgiving spotlight. From Britney Spears' public breakdown to Shia LaBeouf's unpredictable spiral and Amanda Bynes' heartbreaking disappearance, these stories lay bare the severe cost of early stardom. What went wrong? And can any of them find redemption in 2025? Stay with us to the very end. Some of these faces are nearly unrecognizable, and the harrowing truth behind them are even more unsettling. Britney Spears. Bursting onto the late 90s scene, she instantly became a global sensation, setting new teen pop standards with hits like Baby One More Time and Oops, I Did It Again. Her fresh face, dazzling smile, and magnetic stage presence made her an iconic poster girl for an entire generation. Yet, beneath the glitter and unparalleled chart success, an immense unseen pressure began to build. By the mid-2000s, cracks in Britney's carefully polished image began to show. A bitter divorce, intense custody battles, and profound mental health struggles turned her into constant tabloid fodder. The world watched in shock when she famously shaved her head, a haunting symbol of a young woman pushed to the edge, marking the beginning of a very public unraveling. In the years that followed, Britney's physical appearance visibly reflected the deep emotional toll she'd endured. Her once radiant skin lost its youthful luminosity, while immense stress etched itself into her expression. Her formerly iconic golden, flowing hair often appeared worn and unkempt. The vibrant pop princess the world once knew seemed tragically trapped beneath layers of trauma, exhaustion, and relentless public scrutiny. Edward Furlong. He was the face of a new Hollywood generation, etching his name into cinematic history as John Connor in Terminator 2: Judgment Day. With his sharp features, rebellious charisma, and undeniable screen presence, Furlong rapidly became an instant icon of the early 90s. Critics hailed him as a natural talent, and films like American History X and Detroit Rock City proved his abilities weren't just beginner's luck, leading Hollywood to expect greatness. But the spotlight that once illuminated his rise soon transformed into a burning weight. As Furlong transitioned into adulthood, the insidious grip of addiction, the pressures of fame, and personal instability crept in. Arrests, multiple rehab stints, and erratic behavior tragically stole headlines from his acting career. Fans were stunned by his dramatic transformation. His boyish looks faded, replaced by a visibly aged face and fluctuating health. The hopeful promise of his youth was buried beneath years of profound pain and personal turmoil. Yet, Edward hasn't disappeared. Now, in 2025, he's taken quiet but steady steps toward healing. He's embraced smaller film roles, independent projects, and fan conventions, reconnecting with the audiences who still remember him as the defiant savior of humanity. Wait, where in the world are you watching from? Drop your country in the comments before we continue. Macaulay Culkin. He will forever be remembered as Kevin McAllister, the clever, mischievous kid who defended his home in Home Alone. In the early 90s, he was more than just a child actor. He was an unparalleled cultural phenomenon. With box office hits like My Girl, Richie Rich, and The Pagemaster, paired with his close friendship with Michael Jackson, Culkin quickly became one of the most recognizable faces of the decade. His boyish charm and camera-ready smile made it seem like a seamless transition into adult stardom was inevitable. But the fairy tale ended too soon. Behind the scenes, the relentless pressures of fame, a famously strained relationship with his parents, and constant media scrutiny left deep, lasting scars. As he got older, the intense glare of the spotlight dimmed, and so did his health. Drug use followed, drastically altering his once youthful appearance. The gaunt face and disheveled look profoundly shocked fans who had grown up loving the bright-eyed Kevin. For nearly a decade, Culkin stepped away from Hollywood, choosing a reclusive life over the chaos of celebrity. But in recent years, he's slowly returned, this time decisively on his own terms. Sporting a full beard and a more grounded demeanor, Macaulay has dabbled in indie films, launched a satirical lifestyle brand, and embraced music and writing. Crucially, he's also become a father, finding a new kind of joy far removed from the noise of his past. As of 2025, Culkin seems to be charting his own path, less about reclaiming fame and more about redefining peace. While it's not the ending fans expected, perhaps it's the one he always needed. Taylor Momsen. Before Taylor Momsen turned heads on Gossip Girl, she was already a familiar face to millions. At just 7 years old, she stepped into cinematic history as Cindy Lou Who in How the Grinch Stole Christmas. With her angelic voice and unforgettable look, Taylor lit up the screen, becoming an instant holiday icon. But that innocent charm was only the surface of a far more complex journey. By the time she joined Gossip Girl in 2007, the shift was already underway. Her character, Jenny Humphrey, grew darker with each season, and so did Taylor. The line between role and reality blurred as she leaned into a fierce, rebellious identity that clashed with Hollywood's expectations. Behind the scenes, rumors swirled of tension and growing distance from the spotlight she once embraced. By 2012, she was gone, not just from the show, but from acting altogether. What came next wasn't a quiet exit, it was a profound reinvention. She re-emerged as the unapologetic frontwoman of The Pretty Reckless, trading scripts for screaming guitars. Her voice now thundered across rock stages, raw and unapologetic. The transformation was staggering. The wide-eyed girl in Whoville was now unrecognizable, pierced, defiant, and fully in control of her narrative. Today, Taylor Momsen isn't looking back. She's built a career on her own terms, unfiltered and fearless. Lark Voorhies. Lark Voorhies was once the bright, stylish face of Saved by the Bell, capturing hearts as the fashion-forward Lisa Turtle. In a cast full of standout characters, she brought a unique mix of charm and attitude that made her unforgettable, becoming a 90s teen icon, admired, imitated, and adored. But today, many fans barely recognize her. Over the years, Lark's dramatic transformation has sparked headlines and speculation. Her once familiar features appeared drastically altered, a shift some attribute to multiple cosmetic procedures. Others point to deeper struggles. In a rare and vulnerable admission, Lark later revealed she had been diagnosed with schizophrenia, an invisible battle that may explain her long absence from the spotlight and the rumors that swirled around her personal life. While she stepped away from mainstream acting in her early 20s, Lark didn't vanish entirely. She founded her own production company, signaling a desire to stay connected to storytelling, even from behind the scenes. Yet, fame hasn't been kind in return. Despite the hardships, mental illness, addiction rumors, and the loss of her once rising career, fans still remember the girl who brought style and spirit to Saturday mornings. Lisa Turtle remains a nostalgic symbol of the 90s, and Lark Voorhies, though changed, is still part of that legacy. Frankie Munice. Frankie Munice was once the face of early 2000s television, lighting up screens as the sharp-witted, overthinking teen in Malcolm in the Middle. With piercing blue eyes and pitch-perfect comedic timing, he became one of the most beloved child actors of his generation. His performance earned him Emmy recognition and pop culture immortality. However, the role that launched his fame also ended up boxing him in. As Malcolm became iconic, it became harder for Munice to be seen as anyone else. Struggling to escape the shadow of his character, he quietly stepped away from acting and began a journey of reinvention. Music, race cars, and even olive oil, Frankie dove into it all, each chapter a new identity, far from the sitcom sets he once called home. But behind the scenes, life brought harder challenges. A series of head injuries and a mini-stroke left him with troubling memory loss. Shockingly, Frankie has admitted he barely remembers filming the show that defined his childhood. His changing appearance and ever-shifting hairstyles have sparked curiosity, but what's most striking is his unshakable positivity. Today, Munice embraces a life built on change and passion. He may not recall his own rise to fame, but he's fully aware of the man he's become. Resilient, adventurous, and determined to keep evolving beyond the screen. Corey Feldman. In the 1980s, Corey Feldman was everywhere. With unforgettable roles in Stand By Me, The Goonies, and The Lost Boys, he became one of the defining faces of the decade. Charismatic, rebellious, and talented beyond his years, Feldman wasn't just a star, he was a phenomenon. Alongside his best friend Corey Haim, the duo became iconic as the Two Coreys, dominating teen magazines and capturing hearts around the world. But the Corey Feldman we see today is far removed from the bright-eyed boy who lit up the screen. After stepping away from Hollywood's spotlight, Feldman's life took a darker turn. Addiction, trauma, and a long battle with the industry's hidden horrors left visible marks both emotionally and physically. His youthful energy faded, replaced by a more weathered, introspective presence. The changes in his appearance reflect not vanity but survival. Yet, perhaps more powerful than his fame is what he chose to do with his pain. In recent years, Feldman has become an outspoken advocate, unafraid to confront the entertainment industry's darkest corners. He's used his voice to expose abuse, challenge silence, and push for accountability, earning a different kind of respect. Corey Feldman may no longer be the heartthrob of the 80s, but his transformation reveals something deeper. A survivor who turned scars into a mission. Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf wasn't your typical child star. He didn't need a polished image or leading man looks to win over audiences. As Louis Stevens on Disney Channel's Even Stevens, his wild energy, expressive face, and offbeat charm made him instantly unforgettable. He was the kind of kid who felt real, relatable, awkward, and completely magnetic. After Disney, LaBeouf made the rare leap to blockbuster fame, headlining hits like Transformers and Disturbia. For a while, it seemed like he was Hollywood's next big thing. But fame has a price, and Shia's path soon veered off course. What followed was a whirlwind of arrests, public meltdowns, and headlines that often overshadowed his talent. His appearance evolved just as dramatically. Gone was the clean-cut Disney teen, replaced by a scruffy, tattooed man with a volatile edge. One day, he'd be bearded and disheveled, the next completely transformed. His unpredictability became his trademark, both on-screen and off. And yet, through every scandal and reinvention, Shia remained undeniably Rhea. Raven-Symoné. Raven-Symoné's rise in Hollywood began before most kids even knew their ABCs. At just 3 years old, she was stealing scenes on The Cosby Show with her quick wit and undeniable charm. By the time That's So Raven hit Disney Channel in the early 2000s, she was already a seasoned star, captivating young audiences with her physical comedy, electric presence, and one-of-a-kind voice. She wasn't just funny, she was fearless. But time changes everything, including how the world sees you. As Raven matured, so did her style and her critics. She ditched the polished Disney image and leaned into bolder looks, dramatic hair transformations, and unapologetic self-expression. Her fluctuating weight became a target for tabloid headlines, and every fashion move sparked public debate. But through it all, Raven never backed down. She refused to shrink herself to fit Hollywood's mold. Now, as a host and cultural commentator, Raven is no stranger to controversy. She speaks her mind loudly, passionately, and without apology. And while that's earned her both praise and pushback, it's also earned her respect. She's not here to please everyone, she's here to be real. Out of all the child stars we've covered so far, who do you think is the most famous? Drop their name in the comments and see if others agree. Amanda Bynes. In the late 90s and early 2000s, Amanda Bynes was one of the brightest stars in young Hollywood. With razor-sharp comedic timing and a magnetic on-screen presence, she became a standout on The Amanda Show, effortlessly shifting between characters and winning over a generation of kids. By her early teens, she was already a Nickelodeon icon. As she transitioned into mainstream film, hits like Big Fat Liar, What a Girl Wants, and She's the Man made her a box office favorite and a rare teen actress who could truly carry a film. But just as her star seemed to shine its brightest, Amanda made a startling move. She walked away. In 2010, at the height of her fame, Bynes announced her retirement from acting. What followed was a public unraveling. Headlines chronicled a string of arrests, troubling behavior, and deeply personal battles with addiction and mental health. Her appearance changed drastically, and the world watched, often too closely, as the bubbly girl next door transformed into a symbol of Hollywood's darker side. In recent years, however, Amanda has quietly stepped out of the chaos. Choosing privacy over performance, she's focused on healing, attending treatment, studying fashion, and rebuilding her life far from the cameras. Though the path has been rocky, her story now reflects something deeper: resilience, reflection, and the courage to start over. Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp has captivated Hollywood for over 4 decades, evolving from a rebellious teen idol in 21 Jump Street and crybaby into one of cinema's most fascinating leading men. But it was his fearless transformation into eccentric characters, like Captain Jack Sparrow in Pirates of the Caribbean, that carved his legacy in stone. Depp brought haunting elegance to films like Sleepy Hollow and soulful depth to Chocolate. With 10 Golden Globe nominations, a win for Sweeney Todd, and 3 Oscar nods, Depp didn't just chase stardom, he redefined it. Behind the spotlight, Johnny Depp's life has been marked by turbulence and deeply personal struggles. Like many stars who rose fast and bright, he began smoking at an early age and later faced ongoing battles with alcohol and substance abuse. Battles that left visible marks on both his appearance and public image. In recent years, Depp found himself in the center of a media firestorm during his explosive divorce from actress Amber Heard, a legal and emotional roller coaster that played out in front of the world. Alongside the courtroom drama came years of whispered concerns about his health, fueled by reports of erratic behavior, weight fluctuations, and a noticeably worn-down look, including yellowing teeth and thinning hair. Once admired for aging like a vintage star, Depp now appears more weathered by life's storms. Still, despite the toll, his extraordinary talent continues to shine through. He remains one of Hollywood's most complex and magnetic figures with a legacy that, while stained by controversy, is undeniably built on remarkable performances and fearless artistry. Haley Joel Osment. In the late 90s and early 2000s, Haley Joel Osment was more than just a child actor. He was a phenomenon. After a small but touching role in Forrest Gump, he skyrocketed to fame with The Sixth Sense, delivering the chilling line, "I see dead people," that instantly became a pop culture landmark. His emotional depth and mature presence on screen stunned audiences and critics alike, leading to powerful follow-up performances in AI, Artificial Intelligence, and Pay It Forward. Osment was hailed as one of the most gifted young talents of his generation. But like many child stars, the path into adulthood wasn't easy. As he aged, the spotlight faded, and his once boyish face gave way to a rugged, more grounded appearance, marked by noticeable weight gain, a thick beard, and a quieter demeanor. Behind the scenes, Haley wrestled with personal demons, including struggles with alcohol and addiction that affected both his image and his opportunities. Yet he never truly left the industry. In recent years, he's been quietly rebuilding his career, embracing character roles and lending his voice to animation and comedy. No longer the wide-eyed child of thrillers past, Osment has matured into a seasoned actor who continues to win respect for his perseverance and evolving craft. Angus T Jones. Angus T Jones shot to fame as the hilarious and lovable Jake Harper on 2.5 Men, capturing hearts with his mischievous charm and effortless comedic timing. A native of Texas, he quickly became one of the most recognized faces on TV, earning multiple accolades, including 2 Young Artist Awards. But fame came at a cost. During the show's 10th season, Angus made headlines with a bold and unexpected move, publicly denouncing the show's content as morally questionable. His candid remarks stirred controversy and led to his departure from the series, though he returned briefly for the finale. Since leaving the limelight, Angus has undergone a striking transformation. Gone is the baby-faced sitcom star, he now sports long hair, a thick beard, and a reflective, almost monk-like presence. Having stepped away from Hollywood, he has embraced a quieter, more private lifestyle, choosing personal growth and spiritual exploration over the spotlight. Danny Bonaduce. Danny Bonaduce lit up television screens in the 1970s as the wisecracking, red-headed Danny Partridge on The Partridge Family. With his sharp wit and magnetic charm, he quickly became a fan favorite, seen as a child star destined for lifelong success. But once the camera stopped rolling, Danny's life veered into darker territory. After the show ended, Danny battled demons that fame couldn't shield him from: addiction, anger issues, and mental health struggles. Despite once being a household name, he found himself homeless, a shocking fall from grace he's spoken about with painful honesty. Years of substance abuse and personal chaos left visible marks on his appearance and reputation, transforming the once bright teen idol into a cautionary tale. His acting roles dried up, and he became better known for erratic reality TV appearances than scripted performances. Still, Danny refused to be defined by his lowest moments. In recent years, he's made a remarkable pivot, carving out a second act as a radio personality. By 2025, he is reportedly sober and committed to a healthier life, embracing a routine that offers him peace and stability. Though his journey has been turbulent, fans of the Partridge Family continue to root for him, inspired by his hard-won resilience and refusal to give up. Brendan Fraser. Brendan Fraser was once the golden boy of late 90s and early 2000s Hollywood. With his boyish charm, quick wit, and rugged good looks, he became a household name thanks to blockbuster hits like the Mummy trilogy, where he played the fearless Rick O'Connell. He seamlessly moved between genres, from goofy roles in Encino Man and George of the Jungle, to heartthrob status in Bedazzled, to family-friendly adventure in Journey to the Center of the Earth. Fraser was everywhere, and audiences couldn't get enough. Then, almost suddenly, he vanished from the spotlight. For years, fans were left puzzled by his absence. But the truth was far more heartbreaking. Fraser later opened up about the personal and physical battles that pushed him out of the limelight, including a painful divorce, a long struggle with depression, lingering injuries from doing his own stunts, and a harrowing sexual assault that left deep emotional scars. The toll was both visible and invisible. His appearance changed, and so did his place in the Hollywood machine. But Brendan Fraser's story didn't end there. In 2022, he made a powerful comeback with The Whale, delivering a raw, transformative performance that earned him an Academy Award for Best Actor. As of 2025, Fraser is once again a name on everyone's lips, not because of his past, but because of his triumphant return. Do you think Brendan Fraser's comeback proves that true talent never fades? Yes or no, drop your answer in the comments, and let us know what moment made you root for him the most. Josh Saviano. Josh Saviano left a lasting impression on TV audiences in the late 80s and early 90s as Paul Pfeiffer, the brainy and loyal best friend of Kevin Arnold on The Wonder Years. His awkward charm and thoughtful demeanor made him a standout in one of television's most iconic coming-of-age series. But unlike many child stars, Josh didn't stick around Hollywood for long after the show ended. Instead, he chose a drastically different path, one that led him far from the spotlight. Saviano shifted his focus to academics, attending Yale and later earning a law degree, eventually becoming a respected attorney. It was a bold move, but one that highlighted his desire for a more grounded and private life. Despite stepping out of the entertainment industry, Josh remained a topic of pop culture conversation for years, thanks to a wild internet rumor claiming he had secretly transformed into shock rocker Marilyn Manson. Though completely false, the bizarre myth added a layer of intrigue to his low-profile life. Today, Josh Saviano looks nothing like the bespectacled teen fans remember. He's matured into a confident professional, having traded the soundstage for the courtroom. Jeremy Miller. Jeremy Miller will always be remembered as the lovable Ben Seaver, the youngest son on the classic sitcom Growing Pains. With his wide grin and playful energy, he charmed viewers throughout the show's run in the late 80s and early 90s. But while he made a lasting impression as a child star, the path ahead wasn't as smooth as it was for some of his castmates, such as Kirk Cameron, who became a teen sensation, or Leonardo DiCaprio, who rocketed to international fame. Jeremy, by contrast, quietly slipped from the spotlight. As he grew older, the boyish appeal that once won over audiences faded, and his career struggled to keep pace. Though he never achieved the same level of fame as his co-stars, Jeremy didn't abandon the industry altogether. He continued working, appearing in small roles and independent projects, always maintaining a connection to his roots in television. Behind the scenes, Jeremy also faced personal battles. He's been open about his struggle with alcohol and the toll it took on his life. But in recent years, he's made significant strides, focusing on sobriety, wellness, and building a stable family life. While the fame of Growing Pains is now decades behind him, Jeremy Miller remains a nostalgic favorite, proof that even when the spotlight dims, the heart behind the performance can still shine. Shaun Aston. Shaun Aston became a household name in the 1980s thanks to his role as Mikey Walsh in the beloved adventure classic The Goonies. With his wide eyes, boundless energy, and boy-next-door charm, Shaun was plastered across teen magazines like Tiger Beat and Teen Beat, adored by millions who taped his posters to their bedroom walls. As Mikey, he wasn't just the leader of the Goonies, he became the face of youthful bravery for an entire generation. As time passed, Shaun's boyish looks gave way to a more rugged, heavier appearance, surprising fans who hadn't seen him since his early days. But unlike many child stars whose careers fizzled out, Shaun Aston proved he was built for longevity. Rather than fading into nostalgia, he matured into a reliable character actor, showing his range in comedies like 50 First Dates and Click alongside Adam Sandler, as well as in darker fare like The Strain. Of course, his most iconic adult role came as the loyal and brave Samwise Gamgee in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, a performance so deeply human and moving that it earned him a whole new legion of fans and widespread critical praise. As of 2025, Shaun continues to take on thoughtful, often under-the-radar roles that highlight his range and heart. Off-screen, he's also known for his positivity, humility, and love for storytelling, proving that while the boy from the Goonies may have grown up, the spirit that made him special never faded. Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen. Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen were once America's favorite twins, charming audiences as the adorable Michelle Tanner on Full House. From toddler stars to teen idols, they dominated the entertainment world throughout the 90s and early 2000s, becoming a global brand before they even hit adulthood. But as they matured, the Olsens made a bold and deliberate shift, trading the flashing lights of Hollywood for the quiet sophistication of the fashion industry. Now in their late 30s, Mary-Kate and Ashley have built a formidable fashion empire through labels like The Row and Elizabeth and James, earning critical acclaim and amassing millions. They've redefined themselves not as former child stars, but as powerful creative forces behind one of the most respected luxury brands in the world. Their evolution has been as strategic as it is impressive. However, the journey hasn't been without turbulence. Growing up under constant public scrutiny took a toll, and rumors of eating disorders, substance use, and emotional struggles have followed them for years. Their reclusive nature and minimalist aesthetic only fueled speculation. Over time, their appearance changed significantly, becoming mature, solemn, and often described as ghostly or unrecognizable compared to their youthful TV image. Yet, rather than defend or explain, the Olsens chose silence. They've let their work speak for itself, avoiding interviews and rarely attending public events. In doing so, they've reclaimed control of their narrative. Far from faded stars, Mary-Kate and Ashley have transformed into icons of independence, privacy, and creative vision, proving that sometimes stepping out of the spotlight is the most powerful move of all. Lil Durk. Lil Durk rose from the harsh streets of Chicago to become a voice of his generation, raw, fearless, and unfiltered. Through his label, Only the Family, and high-profile collaborations, Durk built more than a music career, he built a movement. But by 2024, that empire began to crack. It all began with a chilling case from 2022, a shooting in Los Angeles that left LP, cousin of rapper Quando Rondo, fatally wounded. At the time, it seemed like another tragic chapter in an ongoing feud, but then came 2024, and with it, arrests. Federal agents apprehended 6 individuals allegedly connected to Durk's inner circle, and then the industry was rocked. Reports surfaced that Durk himself was being named as the central figure in the scheme. Prosecutors alleged that Durk orchestrated a violent plot as payback for the 2020 death of his close friend, King Von, who lost his life in a confrontation involving Quando Rondo's crew. According to the government's case, Durk allegedly promised money and favors in return for retaliation, turning grief into a calculated mission. Durk has entered a plea of not guilty, but his world has shifted dramatically. As of April 2025, he's in federal custody, awaiting a high-stakes trial that could decide his fate. If convicted, he could face the harshest penalties under California law, including life in prison or worse. In a bitter twist, the very loyalty and street bonds that fueled his rise may now seal his downfall. What once was an anthem of survival is now a courtroom drama where the music fades and only a judge's verdict remains. Lil Durk's legacy isn't being written in lyrics anymore. It's being argued as Blake Lively. For years, Blake Lively was Hollywood royalty, a vision of effortless style, career success, and family bliss. But in 2024, the image began to crack. Even as she headlined blockbusters like Deadpool and Wolverine, and took on the lead in the highly anticipated It Ends With Us, the headlines told a different story. It began with red carpet moments that felt anything but glamorous. The tension between Lively and her co-star and director Justin Baldoni was impossible to ignore, sparking wild rumors about what was really happening off-set. Then, the real bombshell dropped. Early in 2025, Baldoni filed a lawsuit, accusing Lively of breach of contract and defamation after private emails surfaced in which she allegedly made damaging claims about his on-set behavior. Lively wasn't about to back down. She fired back with a countersuit, painting Baldoni as the one responsible for creating a toxic work environment and claiming he deliberately downplayed her role. The courtroom drama quickly spilled into the public eye. Leaked messages, tense exchanges, and crew members dragged into the spotlight. By March 2025, both sides reached a private settlement, but by then, Lively's reputation had already taken a hit. As if that weren't enough, Lively's decision to promote her new floral-inspired hair care line during press for It Ends With Us raised eyebrows everywhere. Critics slammed the launch as tone-deaf, clashing with the film's heavy themes and leaving fans bewildered by her poetic talk of the lost beauty of flowers. What should have been a triumphant return to serious acting instead turned into a cautionary tale of how fast a Hollywood darling can fall from grace. By spring 2025, whispers followed Lively. Stories of diva behavior, emotional distance, and a sense that her timing couldn't have been worse. It's a stark reminder, in Hollywood, even the brightest careers can fade. Katy Perry. After stepping away from the spotlight to raise her daughter, build a Vegas empire, and serve as a judge on American Idol, Perry tried to reclaim her throne with her long-awaited new album. It was meant to be a triumphant return, one wrapped in themes of feminism and self-love. But instead of a comeback, it became a catastrophe. The controversy ignited when Perry teamed up with Dr. Luke, the producer still haunted by explosive allegations from Kesha, who accused him of misconduct allegations and coercion. Even more shocking? In past legal documents, Kesha claimed Dr. Luke had also assaulted Perry, a claim Perry later denied under oath. Still, the optics of working with such a polarizing figure, especially on an album marketed as empowering to women, felt tone-deaf to fans. The backlash was swift. Longtime supporters turned on her. Critics tore 143 apart, calling it hollow and disconnected. The album tanked commercially, failing to crack the cultural conversation. What was supposed to be her rebirth turned into a very public unraveling. At her peak, Katy Perry was a pop phenomenon, chart-topping, larger-than-life, and seemingly invincible. With hits like Teenage Dream, Firework, and Roar, she dominated the 2000s and 10s with candy-colored visuals and powerhouse anthems that felt both playful and empowering. In aligning herself with a figure mired in controversy, Katy Perry didn't just misread the room, she burned the bridge to the very fan base that built her career. And in 2025, the once unstoppable pop icon is now facing the reality every star dreads: irrelevant. Mocked can sting far worse than any other kind of disgrace. Tucker Carlson. At his height, Carlson didn't simply cover the news. He helped steer the national conversation. But in 2023, everything changed. The turning point came when Fox News agreed to a staggering $787 million defamation settlement with Dominion Voting Systems. As court documents were revealed, private messages from Carlson painted a troubling picture. Behind the scenes, he privately dismissed Donald Trump's claims of election fraud as baseless, while on air he fervently promoted them. He mocked colleagues, challenged network leaders, and ultimately showed a side of himself at odds with the audience that believed in him. Fox News responded quietly but decisively. Without warning or explanation, Carlson was fired, ending his primetime reign abruptly. Not one to fade quietly, Carlson quickly launched Tucker Carlson Uncensored on X, formerly Twitter, aiming to rebuild his influence independently. But rather than a comeback, controversy deepened. He openly praised authoritarian leaders like Viktor Orban, engaged with fringe theories, and in early 2024, shocked many by sitting down with Vladimir Putin, an interview that ignited global backlash. His unusually sympathetic stance on Russia during its war in Ukraine unsettled even his most loyal followers. By April 2025, Carlson's decline is clear. His subscription platform struggles to gain traction, advertisers steer clear, and political allies have grown silent. Once a dominant voice in right-wing media, he now speaks to a dwindling and isolated audience. Lionel Richie. Lionel Richie owned the 80s with a voice as smooth as velvet and a gift for unforgettable melodies. From heartfelt ballads like Hello to the infectious rhythm of All Night Long, he delivered hit after hit, blending R&B and pop with effortless grace. His charm and emotional depth made him one of the most versatile and beloved artists of the decade. At 74, Richie is still in the spotlight, whether on stage or mentoring young talent as a judge on American Idol. His legacy is built on timeless songs and cross-genre influence, and his music continues to resonate with fans old and new. Phil Collins. Phil Collins made the 80s unforgettable with a sound that was both powerful and deeply personal. Whether behind the drums with Genesis or front and center as a solo artist, he delivered emotional hits like In the Air Tonight and Against All Odds that struck a chord around the world. His voice, filled with raw honesty, and his signature drumming style made him stand out in a crowded music scene. Now 73, health challenges have slowed his pace but not his impact. Collins' influence remains strong, his songs still echoing across generations. From rock anthems to heartfelt ballads, his mark on music is lasting and undeniable. Paul McCartney. Whether lighting up TV screens in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air or leading billion-dollar blockbusters like Men in Black, his career was the definition of clean-cut superstardom. With a spotless image and magnetic charm, Smith seemed immune to scandal. Until one unforgettable moment in 2022 changed everything. It happened live during the 94th Academy Awards. As millions watched, comedian Chris Rock cracked a joke aimed at Jada Pinkett Smith, Will's wife. What followed was not in the script. Smith calmly walked onto the stage and struck Rock across the face. The audience froze. The broadcast cut to stunned silence. It was real, raw, and nothing like the polished persona fans had grown up with. Though Smith returned to his seat and later accepted the Oscar for King Richard, the night's celebration was instantly overshadowed. Within days, the Academy handed down a 10-year ban. Smith voluntarily stepped away from the organization. Online reactions were relentless, and the public's perception shifted. Suddenly, the man once seen as Hollywood's safest star was being viewed as unpredictable and risky. He kept a low profile in the years that followed, offering apologies and hoping the world would move on. But the fallout lingered. His 2024 film Emancipation, once predicted to relaunch his image, landed with a thud, critically and commercially. Studios hesitated. Projects stalled. The golden reputation that took decades to build had cracked. By 2025, Will Smith's name still made headlines, but not for the reasons it once did. For many, that single moment on stage wasn't just a mistake, it was a turning point. A brief, unscripted flash that pulled back the curtain on a carefully crafted legacy. Do you think Will Smith deserved to lose his career over one mistake at the Oscars? Yes or no? Comment yes if you believe actions have consequences, or no if you think Hollywood turned its back too quickly. Russell Brand. In 2024, Brand found himself ridiculed for marketing magical amulets, claimed to ward off evil energies. A strange venture that critics dismissed as exploitative and bizarre. His deepening dive into conspiracy theories only added to the public's growing unease. What began as eccentric or provocative gradually turned reckless and unsettling. Then, in April 2025, British prosecutors charged Brand with multiple serious abuse and inappropriate conduct allegations involving 4 women, with incidents alleged to have occurred between 1999 and 2005. These claims surfaced after an explosive 2023 report launched a lengthy investigation revealing a dark side hidden behind Brand's charismatic public image. Brand has firmly denied all accusations, stating, "I've never engaged in non-consensual sexual activity." But the legal battle is only beginning. Across the Atlantic, a separate civil lawsuit accuses Brand of misconduct during the 2010 filming of Arthur, a case so serious that criminal charges could soon follow. With a London court hearing scheduled for May 2, 2025, and police urging other victims to come forward, Brand's once powerful career now dangles by a fragile thread. The rule-breaking provocateur may soon face a reckoning that no charm or clever words can avoid. Aean Holmes. Aean Holmes was a familiar and trusted face on British television, anchoring programs like GMTV, Sky News, and This Morning, with his calm and reassuring presence. Alongside his wife, Ruth Langsford, he became a beloved duo known for their genuine warmth and on-screen chemistry, a pair the public admired as a symbol of lasting love. But everything changed in 2024. The announcement of their divorce shocked fans who had seen them as a solid, enduring couple. What once felt like a heartwarming story quickly took a harsh turn, and sympathy shifted into something far more critical. Shortly after their split, Holmes was spotted with a new partner. But rather than handling things discreetly, he found himself in the spotlight for an awkward and highly publicized date at Center Parcs, a setting that many found unexpectedly odd for such a well-known figure. The internet erupted. Memes and jokes spread across social media, turning the once respected presenter into the target of nationwide ridicule. As 2025 unfolds, the fallout continues. Despite decades of earning goodwill, Holmes faces a tough road trying to regain his previous stature. TV networks have grown cautious, and public opinion has cooled considerably. The once solid daytime television staple now often appears as a figure of tabloid humor rather than admiration. What hurts most is how swiftly public respect can vanish, not due to scandal or betrayal, but because a carefully cultivated image simply fell apart. In today's unforgiving media world, being Sean Combs. For years, Sean Combs, whether known as Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, or just Diddy, was a towering figure in music and culture. As the mastermind behind Bad Boy Records, he helped shape legends like the notorious B.I.G. and Mary J. Blige, while building a billion-dollar brand that stretched from Harlem to Hollywood. But in 2024, the empire he spent decades creating began to unravel, and the fall was swift, shocking, and deeply public. The turning point came when hotel security footage surfaced, allegedly showing Combs in a violent altercation with longtime partner Cassie Ventura in a Los Angeles hallway. The video, widely circulated, painted a brutal picture. Though Combs issued an apology calling his behavior inexcusable, the incident opened the floodgates, and what followed was unlike anything the industry had seen. By early 2025, over 120 people had come forward, filing a wave of lawsuits. The accusations spanned everything from manipulation and coercion to disturbing accounts of private gatherings that plaintiffs described as exploitative and traumatizing. Multiple individuals claimed they were exposed to compromising situations and substances without their consent, all while being swept into Combs' high-powered world. Federal authorities took swift action. In September 2024, law enforcement executed synchronized raids on Combs' properties in Los Angeles, New York, and Miami. Agents seized electronics, documents, and hard drives, evidence that now forms the backbone of a case being described as one of the most extensive criminal probes into a celebrity figure in decades. Combs was arrested and now faces a series of federal charges, including conspiracy and other serious crimes involving his inner circle and business dealings. He remains in custody at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, denied bail due to concerns over potential witness interference. The upcoming trial, scheduled to begin in May 2025, is expected to pull back even more layers of a lifestyle many believed was just glamorous on the surface. Prosecutors argue that for over 20 years, Combs operated a sprawling criminal enterprise beneath the image of a music mogul. Meanwhile, his defense team is working aggressively to block the infamous video from court proceedings, claiming it was tampered with. But in the court of public opinion, the damage seems irreversible. Brand deals have disappeared, industry allies have gone silent, and the man once seen as untouchable now sits at the center of a high-profile reckoning. For a figure who once turned hardship into power and vision into empire, this could be the final chapter, one that ends not on stage but behind a courtroom door. Will Smith. In silence. Under oath. Neil Gaiman. For years, Neil Gaiman stood at the pinnacle of fantasy literature. With titles like The Sandman, Coraline, and Stardust, he didn't just tell stories, he built haunting, unforgettable worlds that leapt from the page to the screen. Fans saw him not only as an author, but as a visionary, a guiding voice in modern mythology. But everything changed in 2024. In a wave that sent shock and disbelief through the creative world, multiple women came forward with disturbing allegations about Gaiman's behavior. Among them, a former nanny, once a devoted admirer, accused him of serious misconduct shortly after they met. Though Gaiman has publicly denied all claims, the backlash was swift and unforgiving. Almost immediately, the entertainment industry began to distance itself. Good Omens, the hit show he helped bring to life, was suddenly restructured. Plans for a third season were dropped, replaced by a shortened finale, and Gaiman's involvement was erased. Disney, which had been quietly developing the Graveyard Book, put the project on indefinite hold without explanation. Studios that once saw him as a storytelling powerhouse now saw a liability. As of April 2025, Gaiman's presence has all but disappeared from the works he helped create. His name has been removed from credits, promotional events, and industry appearances. Though the stories remain, the man who told them has become a ghost in the world he once ruled, a stark reminder of how swiftly admiration can turn into isolation. Harvey Weinstein. In 2017, a bombshell investigation by the New York Times pulled back the curtain, exposing decades of disturbing behavior and abusive conduct. Dozens of women, including some of the most recognizable names in the industry, came forward with chilling testimonies. Their stories painted a portrait of a man who used power as a weapon and fear as a tool. Once hailed as the kingmaker of Hollywood, Harvey Weinstein held immense power behind the scenes. As the co-founder of Miramax and the Weinstein Company, he was more than just a film producer, he was the gatekeeper of fame, fortune, and critical acclaim. With a single nod, he could launch a career into stardom or leave it in the shadows. For years, he was praised as a cinematic genius. What followed wasn't just a scandal, it was a global awakening. Over 100 women would eventually speak out, sparking a tidal wave that came to be known as the Me Too movement. The silence had finally been broken, and the entertainment world would never be the same. In 2020, Weinstein was found guilty in New York and sentenced to 23 years. A second conviction in Los Angeles in 2022 added 16 more years behind bars. Today, in 2025, the once feared mogul sits in prison, older, disgraced, and stripped of the influence he once wielded so effortlessly. He's no longer remembered for red carpet triumphs or Oscar speeches, but as the face of an industry's long overdue reckoning. Weinstein's legacy isn't measured in gold statues anymore. It's marked by the courage of those who spoke out and the change their voices demanded. Under the harshest spotlight. Jennifer Lopez. From On the Six to the Super Bowl stage, Jennifer Lopez symbolized hustle, glamour, and grit. Once a dancer from the Bronx, she became the embodiment of the American dream, rising to global superstardom with blockbuster hits, box office success, and business ventures that crowned her a mogul. But by 2025, her glittering empire was undeniably crumbling, a downfall that began in 2024. Lopez attempted to rekindle her early 2000s stardom with This Is Me. Now a passion project 2 decades in the making. This ambitious endeavor, entirely self-funded with a $20 million price tag, was designed as a sequel to her beloved 2002 album, This Is Me. Then, alongside the album, she released a polished documentary, The Greatest Love Story Never Told, which offered a deeply personal look at her rekindled romance with Ben Affleck. However, the comeback began to unravel fast. Critics, especially those from her Bronx roots, found the material emotionally shallow and overly produced. Her authenticity, once a defining trait, was now called into question. Despite the heavy PR push, the documentary turned into meme fodder instead of a cultural moment. The album itself failed to even crack the top 20, and rumors of a separation from Affleck began to dominate headlines, undermining the very narrative her return was meant to celebrate. Adding to the turmoil, her name was unexpectedly dragged back into the spotlight in 2024, this time through her former relationship with Sean Diddy Combs. Though she had distanced herself from that era years ago, his explosive legal scandals pulled her into the media storm once again, resurfacing a chapter she'd long tried to leave behind. By April 2025, Jennifer Lopez finds herself at a crossroads. At 55, the unstoppable force is now battling public disillusionment, industry skepticism, and a personal life unfolding on a very public stage. Her most intimate project, once meant to define her legacy, may have instead fractured it. A career that thrived on reinvention now stands precariously at the edge. If you think Jennifer Lopez's downfall was shocking, just wait. Some of the most unexpected names are still to come. Trust me, the last few stories will change how you see fame forever. Drop a 1 in the comments if you're staying until the end. Shaun Kingston. Back in the late 2000s, Shaun Kingston was everywhere. With feel-good anthems like Beautiful Girls and Fire Burning, he became the face of sunshine, parties, and chart-topping fun. But fast forward to 2024, and that bright image had turned dark. Instead of headlines about music, Kingston found himself at the center of a federal takedown that rocked his reputation to the core. It wasn't just a fall from grace, it was a spectacle. In a dramatic operation, federal agents stormed a rented mansion in Miami tied to Kingston. Their focus? An alleged multi-million-dollar fraud scheme that pointed directly to Kingston and his mother, Janice Turner. She was arrested in Florida. Kingston was captured in California days later, unable to outrun the fallout or the flashing cameras. Prosecutors laid out a troubling picture. The pair had allegedly plotted to swindle over $1 million in high-end electronics, jewelry, and luxury goods. Their strategy? Simple. Place large orders, receive the merchandise, and never pay. As more victims came forward, digital trails led investigators straight to Kingston's extravagant lifestyle, one allegedly built on broken promises. Even more shocking, Janice Turner had a criminal past. Back in 2006, just before her son became famous, she pleaded guilty to financial fraud and served prison time. Now, nearly 2 decades later, history seems to be repeating itself, but with far higher stakes. Facing multiple counts of wire fraud and conspiracy, both Kingston and his mother could each be staring down decades behind bars. And as of April 2025, their legal saga is only getting started. Bill Cosby. Rumors about Cosby's private behavior had lingered for years, whispered but rarely confronted. That changed in 2014 when comedian Hannibal Buress made a bold statement during a stand-up routine that went viral and cracked open the floodgates. What followed was a wave of allegations from more than 60 women, many describing eerily similar and deeply troubling encounters, some dating as far back as the 1960s. In 2018, Cosby was found guilty of aggravated assault involving Andrea Constand. He was sentenced to 3 to 10 years behind bars, becoming the first major celebrity held legally accountable in the wake of the Me Too movement. The fall was stunning. America's dad was now a convicted felon. Then, in 2021, the story took another shocking turn. Cosby's conviction was overturned due to a procedural issue, leading to his release. Though legally freed, the decision sparked public outrage. Cosby maintained his innocence, claiming he was wronged by the justice system, but public opinion told a different story. As of 2025, Cosby remains a figure in exile. Hollywood has cut ties, his accolades have been stripped, and the admiration he once enjoyed has been replaced by anger and disbelief. Once hailed as a symbol of progress and trust, he now stands as a cautionary tale, proof that even the most trusted faces can hide the darkest truths. Bill Cosby didn't just lose his legacy, he betrayed it. And in doing so, he broke the hearts of those who once believed in him the most. Bill Cosby's fall shocked America, but what about where you're from? Which country are you watching from, and how was his legacy seen there? Kanye West. Kanye's controversies have long danced between spectacle and concern. From the unforgettable interruption at the 2009 VMAs to explosive interviews, political outbursts, and cryptic social media tirades. What once looked like artistic rebellion has since veered into far darker territory. In 2024, everything changed. A former assistant, Lauren Pisciotta, filed a lawsuit that sent shockwaves through the industry. Her accusations ranged from wrongful firing to deeply disturbing misconduct during a studio session. A session that allegedly involved another embattled figure, Sean "Diddy" Combs. The headlines were relentless. Soon after, another voice emerged. Jen Ann, a contestant from America's Next Top Model, came forward with a haunting account from a 2010 video shoot. She described a violent outburst on set that left lasting trauma. Kanye has firmly denied all allegations, dismissing them as completely untrue, but his reputation has taken a massive hit. By April 2025, the damage was undeniable. Multiple lawsuits, active investigations, and lost business deals have left West more isolated than ever. Collaborators have distanced themselves. Brand partnerships have vanished. Even his once dominant presence on streaming platforms has noticeably faded. Kanye once famously likened himself to Walt Disney, Shakespeare, even a divine figure. But today, that ambition is overshadowed by a cautionary tale. His story is no longer just about brilliance. It's a sobering reminder that unchecked power and ego can turn legacy into ruin. Justin Baldoni. During the high-profile filming of It Ends With Us, co-star Blake Lively accused Baldoni of repeated sexual harassment and fostering a toxic on-set environment. According to Lively, what unfolded behind the camera was anything but the compassion Baldoni preached in his TED Talks and interviews. In a stunning turn, Baldoni hit back, not with an apology, but with a $400 million defamation lawsuit against both Lively and her husband, Ryan Reynolds. He claimed the allegations were part of a deliberate smear campaign designed to destroy his reputation and career. The lawsuit made headlines, but not in the way he likely intended. Almost immediately, the fallout was swift and brutal. Baldoni was dropped by his talent agency, several charitable partnerships quietly distanced themselves, and he was stripped of awards once given in honor of his positive influence in entertainment. For a man once seen as the face of modern masculinity in Hollywood, the collapse was complete. Justin Baldoni built his public image as a man of empathy and virtue, a rising actor, director, and vocal advocate for emotional vulnerability and gender equality. But as of April 2025, Baldoni remains locked in a bitter legal battle, his film projects shelved indefinitely. Once admired for changing how men see themselves, he now finds himself publicly shunned and perhaps permanently sidelined from the industry he once sought to reform. Look back at these once bright child stars, it's clear that fame can be both a blessing and a curse. Some have fought their way back from the edge, while others are still battling their demons. These aren't just stories of aging poorly, they're stories of pressure, pain, and survival. Which one moved you the most? Drop a comment below and let's talk. If you found this video eye-opening, give it a like and subscribe for more stories that dig beneath the surface. Thanks for watching, and take care of the child within us all.